We see a boat running in the middle of the ocean, and the girl calls out a boy named Shinpei and told him to close his eyes as she gave him a present, but he couldn't figure out what the gift was. She asked him to give her regards to everyone at home, and asked him to not forget to find her, and that he must also protect Mio. Shinpei was trying to reach out to her and was screaming her name, but he suddenly bumped into the lady sitting in front of him. He realized that he was having a dream, and the lady got quite offended by him. Though he apologized to her, she still slapped him. He thought that he got into such a blunder because of that weird dream, as it was the first time he ever got slapped. Shinpei was going back to his hometown, Hitogashima. It was an island in the Kanons Strait. There were about 700 people living over there. It was a small island, supported by tourism and fishing. He was coming back to his home after almost 2 years for her childhood friend, Kofune Ushio's funeral. Just when he reached there, we saw a girl riding a bicycle coming towards him at very high speed. She couldn't control the brakes and fell into the water. Shinpei was glad that she was still as energetic as before. That girl was Mio. She was the younger sister of Ushio. He thought that even though she seemed fine, she would be going through a lot as she just lost her older sister. He decided to take care of her, as he had promised Ushio that he'd protect her sister. Mio asked him how Tokyo was and how his college life was. He said that it was fine, and then he asked her if there weren't a lot of tourists coming here at this time of year. She said that you have blended in pretty well. They were both just talking about random stuff as they were leading towards the funeral. When they finally arrived there, Shinpei disclosed that he had lost his parents 10 years ago, and the Kofune family took him in. So Ushio was not just his friend, but like family to him. He also remembered that he promised to make curry for her next time they met. The people gathered there were gossiping about the fact that Dr. Hishigata performed an autopsy on Ushio's body, and suddenly there was a camera flash, but no cameras were allowed there. Shinpei's friend came from the back crying and said to him that Ushio tried saving a kid from drowning and got swept away. He apologized to him, saying that he wasn't able to save her. Shinpei said that you shouldn't blame yourself for what happened, as nothing could bring her back. As they were proceeding with the funeral service, Suo told him about the girl she saved, Shiroi. She was so traumatized by that accident that she hasn't spoken a word since then. A man called Shinpei to help them carry out the coffin. Suo told him that he'd call at night to give him the details about the incident. The time skips to night, and we see him cooking curry for everyone. Mio's dad asked her to help him a bit, but he said there's no need as he's almost done. Her father mentioned that Ushio used to love curry, and he also set aside a portion specially for her. After they had their dinner, we saw Mio standing outside their home, and a police officer passing from there asked her what she was doing outside at midnight, and she looked at him in a mysterious way. Later, we see Shinpei in his room talking to Suo. He asked him why there was a need for an autopsy because Ushio's death was an accident. Suo told him that there were marks of her being strangled, so her death might not be just an accident. When they were playing on the beach behind the school, Shiroi was drowning, and Ushio was the first one to notice. She jumped to save her, and right after that, he and Mio also followed her. But there wasn't anyone suspicious around, so judging from the situation, it can't be murder. That's why the police labeled it an accident to close the case. Before they could talk further, Mio knocked on his door and gave him the necklace that Ushio was wearing till the end, and said you should probably be the one to keep it. She hugged him and started crying, as she could never see her sister again. And she said that she would never forgive the one who killed her. He asked if she knew something, but instead she snorted on his shirt and said that he could take the bath next. She also said Ushio wouldn't be happy to see me like this, so today is the last day. I shed tears. Looking at the necklace, Shinpei remembered giving it to Ushio and how happy she was. He teared up, as she could never come back to him. The next morning, Mio's dad, Mio, and Shinpei were working in a restaurant, as it was best for them to keep themselves busy to cope with their loss. A man asked Shinpei if he had found the guy that he was inquiring about in the morning, but he had no idea what he was talking about. Just when a police officer entered and asked them to serve the usual, that guy was Totsumura Tetsu. He was a relative of Kofune and the only detective on the island. Shinpei called him out, and he was about to give some information about the Ushio case, but Mio interrupted them and asked him why he didn't come for breakfast. He told them that Shiroi, the girl whom Ushio saved, had vanished. Their neighbor peeked into their house, but they couldn't even find a single person from her family. It might be that they left the island late at night because of their debt. Mio got scared and ran from there. Shinpei went after her, but suddenly the officer's reaction changed. He was searching for her all over the island, and finally found her sitting in a corner of the street. He said that it's weird that the family came to the funeral. Mio told him that Shiroi had been acting strangely for the past few weeks. Shinpei said that it could be because of the shock. She said no, as even a few weeks before that accident she told them something weird. When she went hunting on Mountain Takansu, she saw a girl who looked just like herself. He asked if it was like a doppelganger or something. Just then a guy came and said, "Isn't that the shadow?" He was Nezu, the hunter. He told them that it was called shadow sickness. It's like a disease that's endemic to this island. It is not seen much in recent times, but it was quite common before the war. If you're taken with the shadow sickness, you will start seeing your shadow, and if you see it, you will be killed. He then left from there, though Shinpei didn't believe him at first, but Mio told him that her grandma had said the same thing to her. He said that it must be some kind of superstition, but she told him that she had seen Ushio's shadow before. 3 days before she passed, they were picking up trash from the beach when they saw a girl looking exactly like Ushio. Shinpei yelled at her, saying that you shouldn't joke about something like that, but she insisted that she was telling the truth. She said that she's worried about Shirori's family. He asked her to calm down and said that we'd go to Hiruko. It was the nickname for the Hito shrine in the northern part of the island. They both reached there, but surprisingly, no one was present at the shrine, and he thought they should go to the worship hall instead. But suddenly, Mio saw someone in the forest and insisted that she might be Shirori. They both went after her but couldn't find her, and Shinpei wondered why Shirori would run from them. All of a sudden, they heard a gunshot. He saw that the one who got shot was the same lady from the boat who slapped him. Mio came there and said to Shinpei that he should do something to save her, and then left to call someone for help. That lady grabbed his collar and was about to tell him something, but she again got shot. The person who shot her was none other than Mio's shadow, and she was also holding Mio at gunpoint. He got extremely scared and the shadow shot him in the head, and we see that suddenly he went back on that boat and again bumped into that same woman sitting in front of him.